Sports, a bridge that brings people together. And here in the Commonwealth, it's no different. From the gridiron to the hardwood and beyond, we all have a team we love to talk about. Now for the teams you care about, here's Heartland Sports Live with Trevor Rice.
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of Heartland Sports Live. You're probably wondering why the heck we're on right now. Well, it's because we had a 3-day weekend. Reds were playing yesterday afternoon and into the evening hours last night. So I figured let's push the show to Monday. Trevor Rice with you. Or Tuesday, I should say. Trevor Rice with you on Heartland Sports Live. And we have a jam-packed show. I'll have Randy Lee, the voice of the Hilltoppers, coming on a little bit later as he will be discussing what happened down in Biloxi with the Conference USA tournament with the boys last week, as finally getting into the tournament was the Hilltoppers baseball program. We'll talk Lady Toppers softball as well. But before we get to any of that, I have Mike Matheson of the News Enterprise joining me in the studio. Mike, how have you been lately? You been staying cool?
No. It was really hot yesterday, and I sweated my tail off. Drank like 7,000 gallons of water. So I was a really good, and I hate water. I just don't like it, but I was a really good boy and drank water and didn't get tired, sick, or just any of that. So, but no, I'm not staying cool, dude. I'm outside covering stuff, and because it's that time of year.
It is that time of year, and of course we're talking tournaments right now with the 17th District and the 5th Region tournaments. Any surprises in the district tournament? I think we pretty much knew that those two teams had the best shot at winning. You're talking about the boys and girls.
Yeah, there was no surprise in the 17th District tournament softball or baseball. Central snuck by E-Town, and everyone knew E-Town was going to give them a hard time in baseball. But it was Central and North that played a really good baseball game, and North ended up winning it. And Central softball beat E-Town after a 7-run second, and now it's the 5th Region was yesterday. 5th Region tournament for both sports was yesterday. So in 4 games at Taylor County, we'll start with baseball. Bethlehem beat LaRue 10-0 in 5, and I don't think anybody saw that one coming. Just, bad day to pick a bad day to have a bad day. Then Taylor County got defeated Central Hardin 8-7. Central Hardin was down 6-0. Tied it up, took a 7-6 lead. Then Taylor County scored 2 in the bottom of the 7th on a walk-off, and the last one was a walk-off single to win it. And tonight it'll be Taylor and Bethlehem for one 5th Region semifinal. The other one, Greene County beat Nelson County 6-5 in 9 innings, and this is a Nelson County team that got through its district by upsetting 2 teams. And they were 12-19 throughout the year. That's what happens. But Greene County beat them in 9, then North Hardin beat Marion County 4-3, in which both teams scored in the same innings, and then it was defense and pitching the rest of the way, and North Hardin took care of it. So for tonight, it'll be North and Greene County. North is 30. This is a huge guess on mine. 32-3, 31-3. I think Greene County's 17-20, something along those lines. But that's why you play.
In talking with that coaching staff with North Hardin, were there any surprises to this year's team? Were they surprised by the way that this team came out and just started winning from basically out of the gate?
No, I don't think that was a surprise. But then again, when you have your best start in 15 years, that's always a surprise. When you start like 16-2, whatever they started, and that's your best start in 15 years since 2005 season, since the 2005 season, 4 season.
Yeah,
that's always a little bit of a surprise, right? Just because you never expect that. Just like you never expected John Hardin basketball to go undefeated during the regular season, just because it's so hard to do. Well, they kept winning 1-run games. They lost a couple games, and their pitching staff is really good. They have a really good group of kids, and I did a feature on Kyle Conlon last week, and he just loves the lock. He loves the dugout. He gets a great dugout. He goes, we all get along. We all don't care who does what. We just want to win. We don't care who. We don't care. Coach wants us to lay down and sacrifice. Yes, Coach, we'll do it. That's just kind of who they are, and they got a pretty good draw in the 5th Region, but the draw is the draw. You still got to beat some good teams, and tonight they get Greene, and if they win, they go to a 5th Region championship against either Taylor or Bethlehem. And Taylor. By if you look at the region standings, quote unquote, technically North and Taylor have the 2 best records, just region wise, whatever. So you would think they're on a collision course to play each other, but who knows? I mean, both teams had to win one-run games. Both teams did win one-run games.
So do you see North having a shot to win it all?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. North's a good team, and I let's face it, they were the favorites in the 17th district, and they're the favorites in the 5th region. That's just the bottom line. And they drew two teams that had losing records. That's just by the draw. They drew Marion County, who was 18-8. Then the other side was on the other part of the bracket was Nelson County and Greene County. They both have losing records. And now North gets Greene tonight, and let's face it, they're the favorites. They're the favorites. They're 30-5 or 31-5, and Greene is 16-17-20. North's the favorites.
I don't have the schedule up in front of me. Did North play Greene in the regular season?
No, I looked. They did not. North played some really good teams. Obviously, you got to get through the 17th district, but they played some Louisville teams. They played a Southern team that just lost in the 6th region semifinals. So, and they played Bardstown, who was a good team. They got upset by Nelson County in the district tournament. I mean, so they've played some really good teams, and they've been tested in all sorts of aspects. When they played Central Hardin for the 17th district championship, so Central Hardin took a 5-1 lead after 2 innings. And so North was faced right there with some adversity. They walked some people, kicked the ball around, and we're down 5-1 to a really good Central team. Then Kyle Collin came in and threw zeros the rest of the last 5 innings of the game. They turned around and beat Central 8-5. I mean, so they've had their share of adversity one way or another. I don't think the adversity has come within the dugout. It's just come on the field by not playing as well as they wanted sometimes, and kicking it around sometimes, and just doing walks sometimes, and just doing those things that every team has to fight through at some point in time. And right now, you just have to fight through it.
It doesn't seem like anything has phased this North team either, for the most part. It doesn't seem like, thinking back, you said 15 years since the last time they were basically in a spot where they could say that, they've been winning this consistently. It doesn't seem like this team is letting that get in their mind. They just keep going game after game and just focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, I don't think they care. I mean, they care, but being 31-5 doesn't faze them. 31-5 means we're a really good team. That means we're going to get everybody's best. That's what that means. And I think Coach Adcock, Ace, I think he has pretty much told them, look, you're getting everybody's best every night you go out, so just be ready. You're going to get Greene's best tonight. And if you win, you're going to get either Taylor's or Bethlehem's best tomorrow night. Then if you win the 5th region, you're going to get whoever wins the 6th region their best next week. That's what you're getting. I think North, honestly, I think they've embraced that. I think they've embraced the fact that, hey, we're really good, and we're going to get everybody's best, so let's just go out and play baseball. Let's just go play. Let's pick each other up, because we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to, and let's just pick each other up and let's go play. And what I've seen them probably half a dozen times. I think they've done a really good job of not carrying errors to the plate and bad at-bats to the field. And every coach knows that's a major thing in baseball and softball, not carrying a mistake on one end to the other end, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they've done a really good job of that to realize, look, I have teammates for a reason, and they're going to pick me up if I mess up. And I think North's done that really well.
Mike Matheson joining us on Heartland Sports Live in studio at Matheson Mike. Give him a follow on Twitter of the News Enterprise. And we've talked baseball. Let's talk softball now. Central Hardin, they were the 17th district champions. I don't think anybody was surprised the way that they ran through the regular season and ran off strings of wins there, especially in the second half of the year. I think they were probably, if you're looking at it, going to be the hottest team going into this year's 5th region tournament on the softball side. What's different about this year's team from maybe years past? It seems like the consistency with this program's always there, but is this team doing it a little bit differently? They've hit a lot of home runs. Well,
they've hit 56, 7, 8, something along those lines. Emily Bryant hit one yesterday in their 17-0 win over Bethlehem in 2.5 innings. I mean, here's what Central does really well. And 2 weeks ago, Coach Jamie Goodman and his coaching staff changed the offensive lineup and changed the defensive lineup because they felt that's what they needed. Emily Bryant was struggling as a leadoff hitter, so she got moved to 2. Angel Ashlock got moved to leadoff. Peyton Bezier got moved from 4 to 3. Alicia Hager got moved from 5 to 4. Madison Jones got dropped from 2 to 6, and Annika Nichols stayed at 5. Right? Who does that with 2 weeks left in the regular season? Seriously. And they went,
only coaches who know what their players are capable of.
Exactly. And they went, Coach, whatever you want, we're good. I talked to Jamie the other day about it. He goes, they all said, Coach, whatever you want, we're good. So and then he moved Emily Bryant from 3rd to short, moved Madison Jones from short to 2nd, and then put Emma Case in at 3rd. And then Bailey Hardiman comes in as a defensive replacement late in the game at 3rd. And here we go. So now we've made a defensive adjustment, which you don't want to mess up a defense, right? But he's okay. This is what we're doing. Okay, Coach, whatever you want. Bailey Hardiman has come in. She pitched yesterday. She's come in. She's got the 6th best ERA in the state at 0.78 after missing all of last year with a right knee injury. So there's their number 2 pitcher. Number 1 is going tonight in Casey Getty. But he has, and then he told his players, look, the bench gets shortened in the postseason. Everybody knows it. I don't care for the most part what team sport you're in. The bench gets shortened during the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they went, okay, Coach, whatever you want, but you need to be ready to go when I'm telling you you're ready to go, Coach, whatever you want. And I think that's just what they do. Coach said they've had a couple of hiccups here and there, and that's part of life. But they pushed through it, and they know they're the best team. And they know that they do things differently than other teams, and they embrace the challenge. I mean, they just embrace the challenge. Tonight they played Taylor County at 6:00 in the 5th Region semifinals. Taylor County beat them 3 weeks ago. 13, and when Central played probably the worst game they played in 2 years. So
they seem like one of those programs, and you see this with teams that traditionally win or just get accustomed to winning all the time. They carry a different swagger about themselves. It's like somebody who comes to work with a 2-button shirt, collared shirt, compared to somebody who's coming to work in a suit. They seem like the suit type of team.
Well, here's a saying that I've heard, and it's one of the best sayings ever. Tradition never graduates. Right? Tradition never graduates. So if you're a kid that's grown up through Central Hardin softball, when you're in 5th grade, you know what's expected. When you're in 6th grade, you know what's expected. When you're in 7th grade, you know what's expected. Coach Goodman will play anybody if you're good. It doesn't matter. If you're good, you're playing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you may have to wait your turn because the person in front of you is a little bit better.
Yep.
Right? But wait your turn. You'll get your chance. You'll get an opportunity to do those things. And that's what they do. You step on the field, you know what's expected. You go through practice, you know what's expected. You go through preseason conditioning, you know what's expected. You know what's expected. And they joke, they laugh, they cut up, they rip on each other, they tease each other, but they know when it's time to go. I mean, I've been around the dugout, they've laughed, they joked, whatever, but they understand that when it's go time, it's go time. And I think that's one thing that Coach Goodman and the rest of the staff has done a really good job of is look, here's our expectations. We don't lower them. You rise to meet them and then go above them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they step on the field, they know they're the team to beat, but they also know they have to play airless ball. They have to pick each other up. People are going to make mistakes, and we need to help our teammates. And they just know that.
And that's one of the things that impresses me most about whether it be a high school program or a college program, where you have more, I guess, leeway because you're actually going out and you're recruiting players to come and play for your school. High school, you have no control about who's living in that certain neighborhood, who's living in close proximity of the high school. So you really don't get to go out and pursue different kids to come for your program. You're just hoping that the school that you teach at has a player base that's capable of producing. And I think that's what's most impressive about this program is the fact that they keep year after year, somebody graduates, next person steps up, and they're able to keep this revolving door going.
Correct. Well, they lose 4 seniors to graduation this year, 3 of whom start. So they'll lose their center fielder in Peyton Bajer. They'll lose their left fielder in Annika Nichols. They'll lose their pitcher in Casey Gaddy, and they'll lose the backup catcher in Aaron Urich, right? So Casey Gaddy's been their workhorse for 4 years. Well, someone's going to have to be the workhorse next year. And one of the girls is going to step up. Or he splits up the innings relatively evenly to see who just kind of emerges. Well, you lose your left fielder and your center fielder. So someone's got to step in and be your left fielder and your center fielder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone will step up and do that and understand that it's not about you. It's about the program. It's all about the program. And when you have a program like that, then college coaches come calling because they know the kids have been taught right, trained right, all that fun sort of stuff. And that's just the way it is. So whoever steps up next year in at least those two outfield positions, left and center, they have big shoes to fill. But Coach Goodman and the coaching staff's not going to lower their lower their own expectations for who steps into left field and center field. You have to contribute, and if you can't contribute, then you're going to sit and someone else is going to contribute. You know what I mean? And I think that's what they do a really, really good job of.
Mike Matheson of the News Enterprise joining us on Heartland Sports Live in studio. Follow him on Twitter at MathesonMike. When do we see these two teams drop out? If they do, obviously you would like to see them to keep winning. But where ultimately do you see them having their fall if they do have one?
Well, this is me because I can say it and I'm not a coach. But I think Central and North, personally, are the favorites to get through semi-state and into the Elite Eight, so to speak. I mean, I think because the 5th region plays the 6th region in semi-state in baseball and softball. And the 6th region in baseball has 2 really good teams in Bullet East and PRP. But North can play. Obviously, North is as good as they are. Mm-hmm. And in the 6th region in softball, the best team in that region just got upset in the semifinals. Louisville Holy Cross got beat by Louisville Mercy, 8-6. So a 4-loss Holy Cross team is out. So now it's Butler against Louisville Mercy for the 6th region championship, and the 5th and 6th region champions play in the semi-state next week. So you still got to play the games. You still got to play clean baseball and softball. You still got to do those things. You still got to, you still have to do what you need to do to win games. But I don't see any reason. I mean, yeah, there's reasons why Central and North can't make it to the semi. It can't make it. I get it. I understand that. But I would think they have as good a shot as any, if not better than some, of getting to the state tournament. Softball being at U of L, baseball and softball both being at University of Kentucky. I think they can both get there. And then once you get there, it's anybody's game, right? Once you get there, it's anybody's game. Obviously, pitching in softball is different than pitching in baseball because you got a pitch count in baseball. A pitch count in softball. So you got to set up your rotation and do what you need to do and all that fun sort of stuff when it comes to baseball-wise. Who you going to throw? And let's face it, if you get through semi-state and you get to the final 8, you get to the state championship. Depending how much rest you have in between, you throw your best. And then you throw your best. And then you throw your best. And whoever's left, that's who you throw. Right? A really good coach I spent a lot of time with, he says, look, you don't save your best for the banquet. Right? You throw your best. And I think that's where both teams have a nice advantage because their pitching staffs are really, really good. As an entire staff, they're really good.
Speaking of pitching, what do we see for the starting pitching battle tonight? You said North and Green going at it.
Well, Andrew Henderson pitched yesterday, and Kyle Collin came in. I'm guessing it's going to be Parker Estes. That's just my guess. Parker started last week against Central Hardin. So my guess is Parker Estes is going to go on the mound tonight for North. That's just a guess.
In which you get to see him. How does he look?
He can throw BBs. That kid can play. And that puts him – so he had a hard time finding the strike zone against Central Hardin, and that's when Coach Adcock pulled him and put in Kyle Collin. And Kyle Collin's ERA is disgustingly 0.4 something. It's top 3 in the state, top 4 in the state.
Wow.
But that's my guess. I'm guessing Parker Estes is going to go tonight for North, and tomorrow night and tonight for obviously Central Hardin is going to be Casey Getty. On the other hand, for softball tonight, E-Town beat Washington County yesterday 9-8 after being down 4-0 in the bottom of the first. So E-Town's going tonight with Trista Colasanti, who couldn't get out of the first last night. An 8th grader came in, Kylie McKinney, and ended up getting the win. She threw 105 pitches, struck out 10 as E-Town came back from 4-0 in the bottom of the first, came back to beat Washington County 9-8. So E-Town tonight plays Greene County in the second semifinal. So Central Hardin and Taylor at 6, E-Town and Greene County at 8, and Greene County and E-Town played a month and a half ago, and Greene County beat them 9-8 in I think in 8 innings. So that could be just a. And E-Town has kids who are just. I mean, they had 3 home runs yesterday. Maddie Pinkham hit one, and 2 freshmen hit the other 2, Hannah Riley and Natalie Shaw. They can flat hit the ball. And so both games at softball should be pretty solid games tonight at Central Hardin, while the baseball is going on at Shaw Field over in behind Taylor County Middle School. So, I think Parker Estes gets the call on the mound tonight, and then it's all hands on deck. You know what I mean? And then if he can go through without them using anybody else in the staff, I don't know who would pitch. It could be Danny Coyner. It could be Kyle Collin. Who knows? It could be pitch. If they win tonight, who would pitch tomorrow night? But I like North's chances.
Mike Matheson, give him a follow on Twitter, Matheson Mike, on there of the News Enterprise. Read his stories, too, in the local paper. Mike, I appreciate you coming in as always. Always good talking to you, and we can just hope that our area teams continue to win, and we can keep having you back here to talk about them.
I love state stuff. I want to go see state baseball and state softball, but that's me being selfish.
I think us as media, we always want to be selfish and go to the big dance, no matter what sport it is.
Because it's fun. It's fun seeing kids on that stage. Whatever happens, happens.
It's fun for us, too, because, we're with these teams throughout the entire stretch of the season, and we want to go see the payoff.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's where we are selfish. There's no two ways about it. I don't disagree with that.
Appreciate you coming in, though, Mike.
Trevor, thanks for having me in. I appreciate it, buddy.
When we come back, we will be joined by Randy Lee, the voice of the Hilltoppers, talking Hilltoppers baseball and softball. You're listening to Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio, 1400 AM, and you can catch the live stream on ESPNKY.com. Back with more after this. Welcome back to Heartland Sports Live. Joining me right now on the phone line is the voice of the Hilltoppers, Randy Lee. Randy, it's been a while since we've spoken to you. Since then, you have witnessed WKU getting into their first Conference USA tournament in the baseball side, and you're spending time down in Biloxi last week. Do you miss Biloxi, or are you glad to be back?
No, Trev, I had a good time down there. I think it's a perfect place to have the tournament, and I'm not a big gambler, so there's other things that I do while I'm there, other than prepare for the games and watch most of them. But I could see where if you like to gamble a little bit and love the water, you would like Biloxi.
Yeah, for sure. How have you been lately? It's been a while since we've spoken to you. A lot of things have happened in the WKU sports world. Let's talk about this baseball team. We'll get to the softball club here in a bit. But a relatively good season considering the fact that I don't know if anybody really gave them a fair chance, right?
No, it was a really good season for them. They were picked 11th out of 12 teams in the preseason poll by the coaches, and they ended up finishing in 4th place, a half game out of 3rd. They lost a 5-run lead in the last of the 8th game of the last game of the year, or they would have finished 3rd place. So a remarkable achievement for them, considering they went through so many injuries. And it was the first time in the 5 years in Conference USA they qualified for the tournament. 8 of the 12 go. So it was a good year. Still, some growth needs to be done in the program. We have ways to go. Conference USA is a very tough baseball conference, but I think now people are seeing maybe signs of improvement, which was needed. I think John Pawlowski, who was in his 4th year as head coach, probably needed to see his program get to the tournament. So that happened, and it was extra special. I was just honored to watch a young man named Jake Sanford, who was a junior college recruit. He's out of Nova Scotia, of all places. He won the Triple Crown in the regular season, and that's the first time in the 24-year history of Conference USA that anyone led the league in batting average, home runs, and RBIs. And I've never had the great luxury of broadcasting a young man who's ever done that. So that made the season even extra special.
Yeah, for sure. And Randy Lee joining us here on Heartland Sports Live. 26-29 overall record, 16-13-1 in conference play. What was the difference this year from years past? You mentioned that they improved overall, but what in particular helped them get along this journey?
Oh, I would say, Trevor, the offense was certainly better, had more power in the lineup. We didn't have much power in years before. And this team lost a 363 hitter at first base for the year after about the second week of the conference season, or could have even been a better offense. So they were among the league leaders in most of the offensive categories. But the one area they have to improve upon is pitching. They really only had one consistent starter and one consistent reliever. So to finish 16-13-1 and finish in fourth place, really with only two guys you could depend upon every weekend, is a good achievement. So they need to get some more depth in their pitching staff. They lose all three starters. Losing the Friday night starter was a big loss. The other two didn't pitch that well. So when you go into a tournament, or they lost a lot of midweek games this year. You save all your frontline pitchers for your conference games. You do well in your conference, but maybe you lose some non-conference games that you like to win, and you're not able to do that because you don't have the quality pitching depth to use your second-tier pitchers and win a midweek game. So that's the next step for this program, and I certainly hope it's something we can build upon and going into next year, be able to win more of those games, so rather than hover around 500, get up to 30, 35 wins, and we get around 35 to 40, you're talking about having an opportunity to win a regional. I don't know that this team, the program's capable of 40 wins in the conference, but I certainly can see with better pitching, they can pick up 8 more wins going forward.
Do you see this team being able to recruit some starting pitchers that are going to help them get to that point?
Well, that's a big question. We did bring in, our Friday night starter was a transfer from Ohio State, and they went out and got him, and they were victimized by supposedly their two top starters going into the season never threw a pitch. They both had season-ending injuries, so they are hoping that they'll bounce back. They're rehabbing now, and they feel like they'll get them back. They returned most of the bullpen. There's a young man named Bailey Sutton from Louisville who led the conference in wins with 6 and also had 3 saves, and he became a stopper late in that game, late in the season. So he'll come back to lead the bullpen. Most of the bullpen is back. They lose their 3 weekend starters, and they do have a very heralded junior college recruit out of Texas who's going to be drafted. They're hoping he decides to come to college. I guess he was the pitcher of the year in the junior college that he pitches in. They're really high on him. So they got their fingers crossed he will not sign a pro contract when he's drafted.
Randy Lee, the voice of the Hilltoppers, joining us on Heartland Sports Live. Let's look at the tournament last week. Beating Old Dominion 7-4 last Wednesday, losing to Florida Atlantic 1-6 on Thursday, and then 8-15 losing to UTSA on Friday. What was your takeaway from the tournament, Randy? And maybe if they get to this point next year, do you feel like they can have a solid run?
Well, what hurt them in this conference tournament, they played really well and beat Old Dominion, the hottest team going into the conference. Old Dominion had won 7 consecutive series. So they were the hottest team in the conference, and that was a big win to beat them Wednesday. But the problem they had was Thursday, their starter only went an inning and 2/3. Friday, their starter only went 2 innings. So they had to go into the bullpen. The relievers had to pitch more innings than you would like. So that's really what got them. They didn't have a chance in the game against FAU, the regular season chance. FAU, I think they were 1 for 18 with runners in scoring position. It could have really been ugly. The third game is the game they led 7-4 in the 6th inning, and the bullpen sort of wilted, and UTSA came from behind. So, a win was really good. To get that win against a quality team like Old Dominion. I think they realized, they knew going in the tournament that some of these kids would have to step up, maybe pitch a little bit better in relief than they had at that point in time in the season, and it just didn't happen. The real big story, I thought, in the conference is Southern Mississippi. They went as a 2 seed. They should have been beaten in the first game of the tournament. They were down 4-2 or 4-1 in the 8th, and Rice's bullpen blew a 3-run lead, and Southern Miss ended up blowing in 11 innings. So the team that won the tournament almost lost their very first game, and would have had to come out of the loser's bracket to get to the championship game. That hardly ever happens. So they were close to losing the first game. They won the tournament, and what was remarkable about their win is in the semifinals, their third game of the tournament, they throw a no-hitter, And then in the finals, which is their fourth game in 4 days, they throw a shutout. To have that much depth in a pitching staff to not allow a run in the final 18 innings of a tournament is just unbelievable. So hats off to Southern Miss. They got in as a 3 seed, and the FAU, the conference champs, got in as a 2 seed. So 2 teams out of Conference USA make it this year.
I guess any surprises in this year's Conference USA tournament, and do we expect a lot of the same teams in next year's tournament?
Well, the one team that didn't make it that you certainly would feel like they would make it next year is FIU. For them not to be in the conference tournament is unheard of, and they finished 10th. So that's the one team I would say that was not in Biloxi that would be in Biloxi next year. A lot of it depends upon the draft. Jake Sanford, the Hilltoppers' great right fielder, is going to be drafted extremely high. I can't see that he'll return. I think he'll be a top 4-round draft pick. Some other teams, they have other players too. It all depends upon how highly they're drafted. Will they come back for the senior year? So it's really tough in baseball. It's tough to predict because you don't know some of those top-line juniors if they're going to come back for their senior year. But, year in and year out, it's FAU, it's Southern Miss, and it's Louisiana Tech. Those are the 3 consistently that are usually the top 3 in the league, and those are the ones you have to go through to win a title.
Randy Lee, the voice of the Hilltoppers, joining us in Heartland Sports Live. Let's head to the Lady Toppers now. They had a pretty strong regular season. Unfortunately, their season came to a pretty quick end there in the end of things. 37-13 overall, 18-6 in Conference USA play. Talk about their play this season.
Well, it was the best winning percentage in a season in program history. So that's how good this season was, and they were predicted to finish, I believe it was 7th. They ended up winning the East. In Conference USA, you have an East and a West division, unlike in baseball where they're all put in together. So they won the East division. They went in as a number 3 seed. And in softball, when you face a hot pitcher, you could be one and done. And in softball, it's not a double elimination tournament. It's single elimination. They faced a hot pitcher at MTSU and got beat 1-0 in the first game of the tournament, and unfortunately that was their season. But once again, with a young team, I understand just about everyone is coming back. So this team will be picked among the very best, maybe picked even to win the conference next year, with just about everyone returning in tow. So they had a remarkable year.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you what exactly next year looked like, and they could realistically be even better next year, right?
Yes, no doubt about it. With you hope everyone is a little better the next year, and if that's the case, they're going to be in great shape.
Definitely. Well, Randy, I always appreciate your time. Randy Lee, the voice of the Hilltoppers, joining us on Heartland Sports Live. Hopefully you had a good time down there in Biloxi, and we'll talk to you again soon. Football season is right around the corner. How does the football team look going into this year?
Well, on paper, they have just about everyone back on offense, and they have to replace all of their linebackers on defense. Most of their front 4 is back. Most of the secondary is back. All the offensive linemen are back. They have a new quarterback who is challenging for the starting job that transferred here from Arkansas. So Tyson Helton has a lot of the same players that played last year. That could be good or bad. Last year's team went 3-9, which was a shock to everyone. But I know people are going to like the new style of offense. It's what we saw just a few years ago when Jeff Brom was the head coach and Tyson Helton was the offensive coordinator. So I believe the players will probably be put in situations that they're more comfortable with, and I do look for an improvement. I'm not picking a conference title or anything like that, but I think everyone anticipates they'll be improved from a year ago, and everyone's excited that Tyson's here.
Who are the coordinators for WKU this year?
Clayton White returns as the defensive coordinator. So Clayton was nominated for the assistant coach of the year a couple of years ago. So Clayton White is back, and as of right now, Tyson Helton is sort of running the offensive coordinator position, but that may change by the time the season rolls around. We may give up that.
All right. He's Randy Lee. Randy, I appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you again soon. Football season will be here before you know it.
It sure will be. One other note regarding a young golfer we have by the name of Tommy Joe Sargent. He put together the greatest single season in Western Kentucky University golf history. He was the only golfer the program has ever had that qualified for the NCAA championships. And out of a field, I believe, of 176 this past weekend in Fayetteville, Arkansas, he finished 11th in the nation. So Tommy had a great year.
Well, good job to Tommy, and good job to you having another successful full run of things, Randy, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful summer.
Special thanks to Randy Lee for joining us on Heartland Sports Live. I want to say that this hour is powered by CC Power Sports, where you can get a new jet ski for an incredibly low season opening price. CC Power Sports, exit 121, just south of the Snyder. Brooks Road off I-65. Trevor Rice with you. You're probably wondering why we're here on such an odd day. Usually we're here on Mondays, but no, we're doing it today. Well, yesterday being the holiday and there was Reds games going on, so I figured why not put the show on today and take care of business, because that's just the way that I am. I want to thank Mike Matheson for coming into the studio earlier. I want to thank Randy Lee right there. When we come back, we're going to put a wrap on today's show. Let's look ahead to what's going on this summer. Of course, we're only a couple months away from getting back into the football talk with the preseason play in August. We're just over a month away now from talking NASCAR at Kentucky Speedway. It'll be the second weekend of July. We'll talk about that coming up and hopefully close out the show right. It's Heartland Sports Live, 106.1 ESPN Radio, 1400 AM, and we live stream every show, ESPNradio1061.com. You can also go back and listen to every podcast on the iTunes link on my Twitter account at Radio Trevor Rice. Go ahead and give me a follow. And welcome back to Heartland Sports Live on 106.1 ESPN Radio, 1400 AM, and ESPNKY.com. Go back and listen to every show. I have a link to iTunes on my Twitter account at Radio Trevor Rice. You can give me a follow there and go back and listen to every single show. Maybe there was an interview or a segment you missed and you wanted to hear it. Well, that's the beautiful thing about uploading it on the internet, is you can go back on the iTunes link at Radio Trevor Rice, download the show and listen to it there. In case you're on a long drive, maybe like this past weekend, Memorial Day, made a lot of travelers. Next trip, listen to the podcast. iTunes link at Radio Trevor Rice, or go back and listen on ESPNKY.com. I want to thank for coming on to today's show, Mike Matheson. Matheson Mike, give him a follow on Twitter, of the News Enterprise, talking at the beginning part of this program about the area baseball scene and softball, 17th District tournaments, 5th region going on this week. I want to thank him for stopping by and talking all things local with the baseball and softball scene. Central Hardin and North Hardin, good luck to you young men and women who are competing this evening. I also want to thank, for the last segment there, talking with Randy Lee, the voice of the Hilltoppers. He spent some time in Biloxi last week. The Hilltoppers making the Conference USA tournament for the first time. Ended up losing a couple of games, and finishing with 26 wins on the season. A 16-13 mark, 16-13-1, I guess, if you want to be politically correct, in conference play this season. So a strong year for them. We'll see if they can improve on that come next season. The softball club having 37 victories on the year, biggest winning percentage that they've had ever in program history. So congratulations to those ladies. Yes, they fell out earlier in the opening round earlier this month in the Conference USA softball tournament, but you got to be proud of what those women accomplished. 37 victories on the season. That's a great accomplishment for the Lady Toppers. Let's stick with the baseball world. Let's talk about the Reds. We are Cincinnati Reds affiliates, and of course it only makes sense that we talk about them here on Heartland Sports Live. I wanted to have Marty Brenneman on today's show. Unfortunately, Marty is a busy man. He took some time off yesterday, so I was unable to get in touch with him for an interview for today, but we'll try to get him on later this summer. But the Reds, after kind of a sluggish start yesterday, they played 2 games on Memorial Day, one early yesterday afternoon, one last night. If only both games would have been the winning outcome, that would have been much better to talk about today. But unfortunately, there is some negatives and positives with this team come this year. And they lose the first game yesterday by 3 runs, as you felt like the Reds got off to an early lead that it was almost too good to be true. They lose 8-5 in that early afternoon game yesterday, and then last night, off of a grand slam home run from Jose Iglesias. Man, he has been the one star, I guess you could say, for this Reds organization this season. Has actually upped his batting average. He's batting at a .306 now, and has a grand slam yesterday. Reds went 6-0 in that first inning, and you were just like, all right, when are the Pirates going to rally back? Because it seems like we've had a trend this season with Reds games where they get up, they really swing at the ball well in the first inning and always can get an early lead, but a lot of games they haven't been able to maintain that lead throughout the entire stretch, and eventually the other team comes back and wins the ball game. That was not the case, however, last night, where the Reds finally just they sealed the deal, winning 8-1. Great starting pitching once again, and you would like to see that trend on the pitching side continue, because the pitching has allowed this offense to try to win games and claw back towards 500. This team has been hovering between 4, 5, and 6 wins pretty much this entire stretch, and they've just never been able to get over that hump to try to get back near 500 and really compete here in National League Central play, even though they've been beating teams in the league. They'll play 2 more games with the Pirates. They play this evening at 6:40. You'll be able to catch that here on 106.1 ESPN Radio and 1400 AM. Also, tomorrow afternoon, an early game. Listen to KSR from 10 until noon. Then check out the Reds. 12:05 is the pregame tomorrow. Join Marty Brenneman and the Cowboy. 12:35 is going to be the at-bat with the Reds taking on the Pirates, wrapping up a 4-game home series before taking on the Nationals at home in this homestand this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the Reds will be back in National League Central play come next Tuesday, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals over in Missouri. So we'll see how the Reds do. They win one series this past weekend over the Cubs, or last week, I should say, against the Cubs. They won 4-2 on Thursday. They won 6-5 on Wednesday. They dropped one on Tuesday, but they won that series. Then they came back. Actually, that's going back to 5-16. So what is that? Week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now. Then they play the Dodgers. They lose the series against the Dodgers, unfortunately, but then they come back. They play the Brewers last week, winning 3-0 on the 21st, losing 11-9, in which both offenses were just really going back and forth in that one. Then they play a 3-game series against the Cubs heading into this past week, and Friday winning 6-5, Saturday losing 8-6, and then winning on Sunday 10-2. So winning another series against the National League rival, which you have to like. In fact, I think out of the 6 games they've played, though, the Reds have won both series, winning 4 of those. So there's some good things going against the Cubs this year for the Reds. Now, if they can just keep that trend going for the rest of the teams they have on their schedule, that would be great. Then they come back early yesterday, lose 8-5 to the Pirates. They play a night game because they had a doubleheader yesterday. They won 8-1. That grand slam I was telling you about from Jose Iglesias helped the Reds there in the first inning, 6-0 after one inning of play, winning 8-1 ultimately. Now they play the Pirates this evening, 6:40. They'll close out the 4-game home series with the Pirates tomorrow at 12:35 before playing the Nationals. and the Cardinals, like I was talking about just a moment ago. But let's go ahead and look at the numbers here for the Redlegs, as it's been one of those things. Joey Votto started to pick things back up. In fact, his batting average is now at 242. Jose Iglesias, the one shining star on this team, at batting at 306. Peraza has been struggling, but been making contact a little bit more. He's at a 196. Eugenio Suarez is up to a 279 at this point. In fact, he leads the team, I should say, with 55 hits overall, and I'm trying to see how many home runs he has. Last I knew, he had 14, I believe. Leads the team with RBIs at 39, has 14 home runs. So he leads the team in three major categories right now with hits, 55 hits, 39 RBIs, and then 14 home runs does Suarez. Jesse Winker is batting at 244 at the moment. He has 17 RBIs on the season. Nick Senzel and Derek Dietrich, who have really stepped it up since being implemented into this Reds lineup. Senzel is batting at 268. Just looking at Derek Dietrich now, if I can find him. Where's his name? I don't see his name. There he is, right there. Dietrich, since coming in, is batting at 237. In fact, I think it was it yesterday? It was over the weekend, I believe, hitting another home run. So he's starting to get up there. In fact, he's at 14 home runs right now. He's actually tied with Suarez in that category. Those two atop. In fact, I was actually surprised to see that he has 14. I didn't realize he hit 14 that quick. I knew that he had been hitting him out of the ballpark frequently recently. I did not realize that he had actually caught up to Eugenio Suarez in that category. But those two have really gotten things going. We'll just see what this team ends up doing here in the coming weeks. You would like to see them continue to win, finish off this homestand strong with a win tonight and tomorrow, taking on the Pirates. They play the Nationals this weekend. If they can really get near that 500 mark with just stringing off some wins here, that would be great news for not only the organization, but I think the sanity level of Reds fans who have been seeing this team go up and down, up and down. Eventually, you would like to see that meter rise. You know, kind of like the stock market. You want to see the trajectory, I guess you could say. You start to rise, go up. You want to see it go up, and see this team rattle off some wins, maybe get above 500. You have something really good to talk about going into the All-Star break in July. I'm just saying, this team has the ability to do so. I just feel like we're just one winning streak away from this team really showing that they can compete for a wild card spot. They've just been hovering around. Eventually, you want to see this team that's been hovering around get to that point to where we're talking about them being a wild card contender. We'll see. Trevor Rice with you on Heartland Sports Live. I want to thank you so much for joining me. The Reds and Pirates are once again going on tonight. 6:40 is the start of that game. You can always catch that coverage right here, 106.1 ESPN Radio, 1400 AM. That'll do it for me. I want to thank you for joining me on a rare Tuesday. We'll come back next Monday for Heartland Sports Live. Have a fantastic sports week, and I guess everybody's going to be cheering on the Raptors to beat the Warriors. I just want a good series. Can we have a good series? Let's hope for that. We'll see you next week. Heartland Sports Live.